This is Newsroom. Hello and welcome from Johannesburg here in South Africa. I'm Evan Jansen. The show, of course, live as always, broadcast from our studios here in Auckland Park. We're also live on YouTube right now with the whole show available on demand on our YouTube channel. And today we get reaction from students who started the Roads Must Fall campaign at the University of Cape Town. We also get all the details on the discovery of that mass grave site on that farm in KwaZulu-Natal. It's also National Entrepreneurship Today. What does that mean? We'll close the show with a look at African innovation in our innovation slot. But first, let's get the day's news from Anindo Mal.
Good morning, I'm Anindo Mal. Let's just have a look at the stories making headlines today. Cockpit voice recordings from one of the black boxes of the German Airbus that crashed into the Alps have been retrieved. Reports suggest evidence from the recording show one of the pilots left the cockpit and could not get back in before the flight went down. France's BEA Air Incident Investigation Bureau, however, says it's still far too early to draw meaningful conclusions on why the plane went down. Helicopters began airlifting the remains of the victims late yesterday afternoon. All of the 150 passengers on board were killed in the crash. Eskom CEO Tediso Motona will challenge his suspension in the Labour courts in Johannesburg today. Meanwhile, Public Enterprises Minister Lynn Brown says she has not been formally informed about whether Eskom's board has passed a vote of no confidence in chairperson Zola Tsotsi. Brown has also told Parliament that load shedding was costing the economy between 20 and 80 billion rand a month. Eskom implemented stage 2 load shedding yesterday. This was due to a shortage of generation capacity. Messages of condolences for quieter musician Sinyaka Kipana have been flooding social media sites. Sinyaka passed away at the Kupano Hospital in Vereeniging yesterday after a short illness. The 58-year-old first came to the limelight in the 1980s with the release of his single Go Away. He was popularly known for his hits Chiza Mpama, Romeo Wakolota and Hong Kong. Sinyaka leaves behind 2 children, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Quieter musician Sipho Briggs Ndlovu is expected to be back in court today. Ndlovu was arrested in November 2013 after being accused of raping a 17-year-old relative, a charge he denied. His trial is set to continue in the Roodepoort Magistrates Court. Nigeria has closed all of its land and sea borders for 3 days ahead of Saturday's national elections. Election observers have also welcomed a federal high court ruling that has barred the military from deploying around polling stations. The ruling made on Monday does not affect troops already dispatched to northeast Nigeria. The presidential and parliamentary polls are expected to be the most tightly contested since military rule ended in 1999. In cricket, earlier Australia captain Michael Clarke won the toss and chose to bat first in their semi-World Cup final against India at Sydney Cricket Ground. The winner will meet New Zealand in the 2015 World Cup final at the Melbourne Cricket Ground on Sunday. Evan will now give you the latest available score there.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if we look at what's going on, Australia have just reached 300 for the loss of 7 wickets in the 49th over. There are 10 deliveries left in this match, as you can see. Top effort by the Australians. It's going to be a very tough chase, but the Indians are the best chasing side in the tournament, with the likes of MS Dhoni and Suresh Raina set to make a good fist of what will be an exciting second half of that semi-final. Keep you updated throughout the show on scores and how things develop. Meanwhile, a top story. On the 113th anniversary of Cecil John Rhodes' death, there are strong moves to have various statues of him in South Africa and Southern Africa removed. The move to remove the statue at the University of Cape Town has gained a lot of momentum. In a meeting held with various University of Cape Town stakeholders yesterday, the group supported the call for the statue to be moved from the bottom of the Jameson Steps. It is, however, important to remember that the decision to remove the statue still needs to be voted on by a special sitting of the University Council. Now, the student who has been at the forefront of this issue and who has led the hashtag Rhodes Must Fall campaign, Tumani Makwele, joins us in studio today, well, in our studio in Cape Town, to give us his thoughts on the latest developments. Tumani, very good morning to you, my friend. Thank you once again for joining us.
Very good day, very good day.
Stakeholders have met at the university. Most looks like they've got alignment and they're coming to a decision. What's your reaction to what has happened yesterday?
Well, we are very pleased with the development yesterday. And of course, we supported that other voices must be heard by the university since they requested that. And then yesterday, people have pronounced themselves in support of the removal of Sir St. John Rhodes statue. And then, of course, we've said this long time that this is not just about the statue itself, but it's about the transformation of the University of Cape Town. It's about the comfortability and the redefining of us as black students in that space and claiming the space as our own too.
What has happened in Cape Town in the last couple of weeks with regards to race politics, not just on the university campus, but also in the city itself? Do you see a coming together of the various race groups on the university, or has this created a further divide?
Well, I see a brighter future. I mean, birth is a painful process. I think if we become very honest to ourselves from at the early stage of our democracy, we are likely to be a beautiful country. I think we've been dancing around the race question, artificially so, but I think now we are giving new politics in the South African politics. We are saying we are giving a new, honest discourse, and I think black and white students are united to redefine what it means to be a South African, what it means to be a united country. I see a future indeed.
Kumani, now, after yesterday, allegations against you have surfaced, some of it on social media, some of it through other channels. I wanted to ask you, they say that you are the instrument of certain political parties that's using this as a pre-election campaign in the province. How do you respond to that?
Well, I mean, of course, it's unfounded. But of course, people in South Africa, they are not used to new politics. I mean, people are struggling even to understand why a movement without a leadership will sustain such a campaign to a national, even to an international process. I mean, what we have said as students is that here we are giving birth to new politics. When I first made the protest on the 9th, I said to black students who were united with me at that time, let us transcend our differences temporarily for this common cause. And they couldn't believe me. And I said to them that as black people, we are not homogenic. But now we must be able to transcend our differences and we must be able to unite in a common cause. And in white students, I've said the same thing to them, that let us focus on what is it that speaks to us, what is it that gives us as South Africans a way forward. And now I'm sure that people are shocked with this new trend of politics, what I call new politics, where people can be able to transcend their artificial differences and look at what is at stake, what is common. And I said, what is at stake for us is a statue of Sir St. John Rhodes that divides us. Of course, the statue of Sir St. John Rhodes is just a metaphoric fall of the white supremacist project, a white structure that will ultimately fall. And then because for us, we're saying white power has in fact been at the forefront of anti-progress in our country. We are saying now, if a white structure collapses, black and white student will lead a new South Africa.
What's next for the Rhodes Must Fall, Will Fall, Rhodes So White campaign? Where do you guys go next?
Well, I mean, our next step is that we really about redefining our institution. it's a question of curriculum in our universities. What is it that we consume as students? It's a question of asking our universities not to abuse workers. You know, we are really, as black students and white students, we are really touched with the cleaners in our universities, the securities in our universities, the gardeners in our universities. These are our parents, these are our brothers and sisters. Why they are outsourced? We want them to be employed by our university, particularly UCT, because we understand what it means to be employed UCT. A huge bulk of the child fee, if you're employed by UCT, you get a discount. We want those discounts to also apply to our security members if they've got their children in the university. We want those discounts to be applied to the workers if they've got their children in the university. Now, our way forward is really to intensify what it means to have an African university in an African country, what it means to be educated in Africa by an African university. Therefore, our call is really go back to the call that Mamdane made about the African intellectualism, you know, the African thought, the African school of engagement. It's a question really that we want to drive the matter of epistemology, that we want to say, look, we want to define ourselves, we want to know what we are consuming, we want to know what we are learning. That is our challenge.
Thank you very much for joining us. That Kumani Makwele joining us live from Cape Town. This is the man that threw the initial feces, it was, on top of the Rhodes statue there at the university. And just to recap, the decision to remove the statue of British imperialist Cecil John Rhodes cannot be made by the University of Cape Town alone, as the statue is a national heritage. UCT Vice-Chancellor Dr. Max Price made the announcement during a dialogue organised to debate transformation at the institution. He says university management is not opposed to moving the statue, but due process has to be followed, he says.
The dialogue comes after students at the university made a call for the university to transform. The bone of contention being the prominence the statue enjoys on the campus. They say it is a symbol of colonialism and has no place at UCT. Vice-Chancellor Max Price says that decision can only be made after all the stakeholders have been consulted.
The time frame is to make a decision. The decision will be 8th of April. But the process after that is that this is a national monument. No one is allowed to touch a national monument without the heritage organisations, in this case Heritage Western Cape, approving it. So we will make a proposal to Heritage Western Cape, and they will then undertake the national process that's required.
A university council meeting next month is expected to discuss, amongst others, the statue's future at the university.
White, black, Indian colored.
Meanwhile, in Zimbabwe, authorities say they will block any attempts to have Cecil John Rhodes' remains exhumed and repatriated to Britain. It seems then that the bones of the arch-imperialist who died in Cape Town on the 26th of March, that's today, in 1902, well, they aren't going anywhere from his burial site in Zimbabwe's Matopos Hills near Bulawayo. The country says the statue of missionary David Livingstone at Victoria Falls will also stay put.
He might have died more than a century ago, but Cecil John Rhodes remains a divisive subject. South Africa's plans to remove the statues of the man who epitomized colonialism have revived the cause within Zimbabwe, and opinions differ. He says he was a land grabber. He oppressed us.
We don't want to see them here. He's now dead. Yes, let him stay. We have forgiven him.
We should embrace it. He's part of our history. If he wasn't there, then there would be no Zimbabwe, because there would be no liberation struggle.
Grappled with the very same debates raging in South Africa, how to remember a terrible past without necessarily celebrating it. It's changed the Rhodes Avenue street name and also torn down some of his statues, placing them in a Bulawayo museum.
That's us as Zimbabwe. That's the colonial experience.
The National Monuments Organization believes that the physical remnants are the best way to remember the country's terrible past.
History is history. Heritage is heritage. You can't edit off certain parts of your history because you don't like that history. You then create gaps within your story.
Even the head of state has waded into the debate. At the ZANU-PF Congress last year, he said Rhodes' grave must remain.
So Rhodes must continue to pay his taxes that way. He never paid us taxes when he was alive.
For now, the voices from within ZANU-PF and the war veteran movements appear to be a fringe minority, and Cecil John Rhodes' grave is to remain here in the scenic Matopos, a World Heritage Site. SABC News, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Well, what are you saying on this matter? Let's take a look at your tweets. Some of the views of our viewers sent to @SABC Newsroom. Nduduzi Siakamela says, Cecil John Rhodes died today in 1902. I wonder what the students think of the day. Could be used to change things, if you ask me. Hashtag Rhodes statue. Yes, it should be a catalyst. It should never be a negative. No change, says to me. It's not about the statue of Rhodes, but the inequality in our country who were caused by the likes of Rhodes. Yes, inequality is very much the question. We live in the most unequal society in the world. Putoma Kua says, the issue of Rhodes' statue has nothing to do with transformation. It diverts us from the real issues which we have no depth to understand. Very deep. Joburg lawyer says, attacking Rhodes in death is easy, not brave. Do something positive, significant, that is more constructive, but harder. Rhodes, hashtag Rhodes must fall. That one from Joburg lawyer. Those are some of the views. What are your views in this on this passionate subject? We're going to keep it alive over the next couple of weeks, so send us your views. The hashtag is Rhodes must fall, and we will put your views up along with a whole series of interviews and guests we'll try and bring on the show to talk about this and transformation in general here in South Africa. Now, let's take a look at the picture of the day. Music picture it is today. It comes from Rob Byrne in Durban. Sydney Road, to be specific. It's a truck crash there that happened in the city near China Mall. Do you have any pictures of the truck crash? Please send it in to @SABC Newsroom. We'd love to add some more, maybe before the end of the show, if you like. Let's take a look now at what's happening elsewhere. Front pages from around the globe. In the UK, The Times. Crash investigators trying to establish the cause of the Alps plane disaster remained mystified as to why the Airbus smashed into a mountainside, killing all 150 people on board. Then moving to Asia, the South China Morning Post reports thousands of people queued patiently in Singapore yesterday to pay their last respects to the founding Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, waiting for up to 8 hours to bow before his coffin. And in Sydney, the Daily Telegraph reports the deadly descent of Germanwings Airbus A320 jet into the French Alps sparked global fears that sensors in the widely used aircraft have a fatal flaw. Well, it seems today the latest news there is that the pilot, or one of the pilots, were locked out of the cabin. Now, what happened there? Maybe somebody fell ill, somebody passed out, and the pilot couldn't get in and went into the mountainside. But there's lots of theories out. We'll keep you updated on that story. Let's take a look at what's happening here in our country. We start here in Johannesburg, where Environmental Affairs Minister Ed Malewa speaks at the last day of a committee of inquiry into the possibility of a legal rhino horn trade. That should be very interesting. We stay in Johannesburg at the Ruderspoort Magistrates Court. The trial of Kwaito musician Sipho Charles Ndlovu will take place. Ndlovu is accused of raping a 17-year-old family member, they say. BRICS. Then, in Cape Town, the Centre for Conflict Resolution will hold a public dialogue on debating the legacy of Cecil John Rhodes this evening. If you're in Cape Town, that would be a worthwhile conversation to go and have. What do you feel? What do you think? Are we still divided? Are our students still divided? One of my friends said this morning on Facebook, Phil Wilson, if you're watching, thank you for that. He said he was at Grahamstown 25 years ago, and it seems the divide is still the same. It's up to all of us to make a contribution to cross the divide. Now, it's another sad day for the South African music industry. It's news of the passing of the legendary Kwaito musician Senyaka Kekana broke. Thousands of his followers have taken to Twitter to pay their final respects. Senyaka first came to the scene in the 80s and is and produced a number of hits such as Chizampama, Romeo Wankolota and Mapona Pona Satane, amongst a few. According to reports, Kekana was in a coma for the past week before he died to an unspecified illness.
Are you paying them well?
Yeah, I think they're being well paid. Yeah.
They're not going to strike anytime soon?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Are you an exploitative boss?
When somebody says that these actors were exploited, it's nonsense. The 16 actors, on average, they were getting 55,000 a month. Meaning that some of them were making more than 70,000 a month. Tula House sent Mrs. Matikizela Mandela. She was shocked how much the actors were making. In fact, her response was, "Ha, they're making more money than MPs."
But that's what they were saying, that you don't allow them to.
No, that's not true. Sophie Ndaba is with a very lucrative wedding business. She does commercials for Cell C. Do you think that she would have gotten those jobs without generations? I made her famous for her to get that Cell C job.
Watch Question Time with me, Mpho Tsedu, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News Channel.
Welcome back. This is Newsroom here on SABC News. A KwaZulu-Natal Sangoma, Gogo Bongekile Nonhlanhla Nkomo, fondly known as Mchanelo, loosely meaning or translating as the broom, has made a significant discovery of mass graves at Glenroy Farm situated in Dududu in KwaZulu-Natal on the south coast there. The Sangoma was the center of attention earlier this week as she led government officials to 3 alleged mass burial sites. Nkomo's vision that led to the apparent discovery is likely to lift the lid on dirty apartheid clandestine operations and open old wounds that the Truth and Reconciliation Commission has not managed to close. KwaZulu-Natal Premier Senzo Mchunu intend to approach President Jacob Zuma to set up a high-level and comprehensive investigation into the graves. Now, our Morning Live presenter, Ayanda Ali Payne, caught up with the Premier to get the latest on the graves and the process.
Let's get a bit of context first. What do we know about those who were found in the mass graves?
Well, it's clear that in some past, not very distant, around the 60s up to the 80s, there was something that went wrong in the lives of some of the people in KwaZulu-Natal in the context of apartheid. It appears that there are some people who were working or employed on the farm, either taken as prisoners, sold or taken as prisoners there, or they were local laborers, but they were working on the farm. It appears that from time to time, a worker would be killed or would die as a result of illness. But the manner in which they would be buried and the circumstances under which they died, even those that would have died naturally, they would have been subjected to inhuman conditions as we get it. So all of that has come to our attention through local people, through Mam Shanelo Mankomo, who had a vision of this sometime last year. And it all culminated in us discussing this in the cabinet of the province and taking a decision to visit these sites. And when we got there, we found the house, which apparently worked as a cell of sorts, and then 2-3 other sites where possibly there are graves. And we could see that these are marks, grave marks that we saw there. Following this, we reported to the public there, and we were in conversation with the President of the Republic, who advised us that after our site visit, we would be in contact with him. Hence, we are sending a letter to him requesting a full investigation on what is likely to have happened. And we want to close that chapter, because there are indeed families in KwaZulu-Natal who say, indeed, so-and-so did disappear, indeed, so-and-so disappeared. It's a grave matter, and we could see when we're talking to the people locally there.
The Sangoma that you spoke about, Mam Shanyelo, alluded to the fact that this was just the beginning and that there could possibly be more to this. Do we know of possibly any other mass graves that could surface?
Well, we can't say, even if we don't know any at the moment, but it's clear we went to the TRC process, and some closure on some issues of the past in terms of our country, history of our country. We thought that we were closed substantially on the past. And soon after that, there have been other revelations, and this is one of them. And therefore, we can't say we're finally closed. Although we trust that we shouldn't, we may not necessarily lead to or go to another revelation, but we hope that this will be part of processes towards closure of the past.
The remains that have been discovered at present, how difficult will it be to try and identify the DNA? How long will that process be to bring closure to the families affected?
Clearly, it will be quite an involved process, because you are going to have families coming forward first in a process like a situation where they will say, yes, my relative, my brother, my sister, my mother, and so on. Now, once all families have come forward, you then have to start that process of digging and then linking up through forensics, the DNA and all those processes. But of course, this will be determined and led by the experts on the matter. But I anticipate that it will take some time.
At the moment, where are we in the process, both of the inquiry and also of trying to ascertain as to exactly who the remains belong to?
Well, we are at the stage where tomorrow the letter is going to the President, who will then apply his mind and then will advise us whether the investigation is going to be there nationally or provincially. And we hope that it will happen soon, and then the investigations will start. And there will be a lineup of how the investigation will unfold. We will be briefed, and we'll brief the local communities, and then the process will start. But it has to start as soon as possible so that we don't have a hangover, because we could see that there's a lot of concern, there's a lot of deep feelings about this. It calls back the history that some people may have forgotten about, and it revives those bloody history and painful past of ourselves as South Africans.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. Senzo Mchunu.
That was Ayanda Alipane doing an incredible interview, talking about as much our future as our past, the role of Sangoma within our communities, traditional practice, spirituality. It's a very incredible story that will keep you updated over the rest of the year, how that story and the investigation develops. But let's have a look at your tweets. What are you talking about on Twitter at SABC Newsroom? Well, there's a new hashtag, Transform UCT. Lauren Herring says, UCT rising. It's about time we stand up for it, for change. I'm tired of being the minority in an African university, she says. There's an incredible picture from Kayla Zukiswa, who says, what a powerful movement, talking about Transform UCT. And there you have another picture from Molly, who says, a depiction of slavery by UCT students. What a powerful picture. Seeing the movement grow like this is just amazing. Roads Must Fall, of course, we dealt with that earlier, but this is the new one. It's called Transform UCT. This is how students are going to take the process forward. It's more than just a statue, they say. Transform UCT. There we have another picture. Shooting Cape Town, shooting South Africa. This is taken at the Bremner building there on campus. Of course, now they want to take it further, to transform UCT. Now, let's take a look at what's happening on our Newsroom Facebook page today. Now, the case in which the utility, that's Eskom CEO Tsidiso Matona, is challenging his suspension will be heard in the Labour Court in Johannesburg later today. Then read more about a former Democratic Republic of Congo child soldier's apology to the United Nations Security Council. Very interesting. He was forcefully recruited from his school by an armed group at the age of 12. And a permanent memorial to honor the victims of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade has been unveiled at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Interesting one that. You can find all of those stories and a whole lot more on our Newsroom Facebook page. You can also visit sabc.co.za/news for all the latest. Now, before we go to a break, let's take a look at how Major General Muhammadu Buhari was recently received. That's 2 days ago at the Tafawa Balewa International Airport in Bauchi. Of course, there's an election in Nigeria over the weekend, the presidential, and it's on Saturday, mind you, and parliamentary polls are expected to be the most tightly contested since military rule ended in 1999, as General Muhammadu Buhari stands as the main contender against President Goodluck Jonathan. Look at these pictures. Now, Buhari gained public attention when he became the Minister for Petroleum and Natural Resources, and in recent years he joined the Congress for Progressive Change, a party that had helped to found. These pictures were taken by members of the public and posted on Facebook. I can tell you thousands and thousands surrounded his jet when he arrived in Bauchi for a pre-election rally there in the state. It's going to be a tough one for Goodluck Jonathan if you have a look at the kind of popular support that Buhari has, especially in the northern parts of the country. We'll talk about the Nigerian elections tomorrow ahead again on the show. Of course, the election will be on Saturday, and then on Monday, hopefully we'll have some sort of result. It's very interesting. So that's Africa's biggest economy. Let's take a break. You're watching Newsroom, yeah, on SABC News.
Exams monitoring body Manusi is withholding the results from 69 exam centres where group copying is suspected. 39 of them are in KwaZulu-Natal.
This is the first time that the rollout of CAPS has reached grade 12, and that's why the assessment is being rolled out now.
A slight recovery is expected this year with improving labour relations and gradually stronger exports. National Treasury expects the economy to grow at 2.5% this year. Electricity tariffs will rise by almost 13% this year and not the 8% initially announced. The energy regulator granted Eskom this increase to help the utility raise funds to plug a financial shortfall.
Catch all news locally and internationally. Tune into SABC, your #1 news channel, news at 8 from Monday to Sunday.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsroom on SABC News. Let's just have a look at the stories making headlines today. Cockpit voice recordings from one of the black boxes of the German Airbus that crashed into the Alps have been retrieved. Reports suggest evidence from the recording show one of the pilots left the cockpit and could not get back in before the flight went down. France's BEA Air Incident Investigation Bureau, however, says it's still far too early to draw meaningful conclusions on why the plane went down. The National Prosecuting Authority and the police have made conflicting statements on whether a summons has been issued for NPA Deputy Head Nobogo Jiba. Police insisted yesterday they were still no further than investigating allegations of fraud and perjury against Jiba. However, the NPA still maintains that police tried to serve Jiba with a summons at the NPA offices on Tuesday. Meanwhile, police have also denied claims that an officer involved in Jiba's case has been removed from it. And in cricket, Australia have managed to get a final score of 328 for 7. India now need 329 to win the match. Remember, you can find all of those stories on our Newsroom Facebook page. Just search for us at Newsroom. You can also follow us on Twitter at SABC Newsroom. Evan, over to you.
Well, just a quick update on the cricket. It's break time there, I see now, and well, it was 328 for 7. Is that right, Oscar? 328 for 7. India need a world record chase in a semi-final. 329 for victory. Of course, a little bit earlier, there was a century for Stephen Smith, a man who's entrenching himself now as, well, it looks like he's going to be the next Australian captain if he continues the kind of form that he's on. So 329 for the Indians to win that semi-final. I can tell you they're probably the only side in the World Cup that could chase that much down. So it should be interesting. But the 6th National Entrepreneurship Day took place last week and was hosted by the Small Enterprise Development Agency together with the city of Ekurhuleni, where a regional office was also launched. The launch was aimed at showcasing the success of South African entrepreneurs in hopes to encourage the youth to consider a career as an entrepreneur. Now today, we joined in studio by SEDA's Ekurhuleni branch manager, Tabang Mpalami, and SEDA's marketing specialist here for Gauteng, who's Sharon Mohali. A very good morning to you guys. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you too.
Interesting. Let's start in Ekurhuleni, in the Far East, as they say over here in Johannesburg. Tell us about the needs for this launch and then how this launch went and what do you hope to achieve with the office there?
Okay. The launch, the plan to have the launch was to increase the footprint of SEDA within the province. SEDA has got a national mandate. However, in the past, we only had SEDA in national office in Pretoria. Now the SEDA has rolled out to Johannesburg and to the south, being in Fuleni, and now to the Ekurhuleni. So it was strategic for us to increase the footprint of the organization into that area.
Sharon, I have to start with a difficult question to you. In a recent report I've got here, the Department of Small Business Development here in South Africa, they said they've had to cut some of their planned project to support small business after the National Treasury last month effectively cut a third of its requested allocation from the financial plan. How does this affect the work that you guys at SEDA does?
Thank you very much for the question. In a nutshell, we are not affected at all. Our delivery and our mandate still stands. We've got a national footprint and we will continue to serve our entrepreneurs, young, old, disabled, in a way that we've been doing in the past, as well as exceed their expectations. Because ultimately, we want them to grow, develop, and be sustainable. And the other thing is, this cutting off of the budget also makes the organization to think out of the box. Because now, we're no longer working in silos.
Yes.
We're now entering into partnerships. And this is one of the success that we celebrated last week with Ekurhuleni.
Spoken like a true entrepreneur. You only see the opportunities, don't you? Tabang, yes. I want to speak a little bit about entrepreneurship in sort of wider South African context. Why do we need to strengthen entrepreneurship so much in South Africa?
We believe that the country or the government will never set up a candle manufacturing company. All right. Therefore, that's why small enterprises has to be assisted and be supported. All right. This is happening globally. Entrepreneurs has to take ownership of creating employment and increasing their turnovers and being successful. That is why it should be supported.
Sharon, what about Entrepreneurship Day? What does Entrepreneurship Day offer experienced and young business owners?
Okay, basically what we do during Entrepreneurship Day, we create a conducive environment for startups. Those are entrepreneurs that have got businesses which are less than 6 months to 2 years, because that's the critical period which is regarded as the highest failure rate.
Yeah.
So what we do, we bring stakeholders from different industries, government, private sector, to come and inform them. So it's a one-stop shop. We give them advice regarding compliance. We give them information regarding business opportunities, growth strategy, and support, as well as where to get financial support or assistance. Because we do not offer financial assistance. We offer non-financial support. So basically, as SEDA, we're bringing everybody under one roof. And for the experience of entrepreneurs is to say, come and get information and advice face to face. Clear out any misconceptions, get it from the industry experts, and move on.
And what has been the response then, Thabang?
With a little bit trick that we put into this last Entrepreneurship Day that we had, we've said we bring in opportunities, all right, of which the municipality came up and said these are the opportunities that SMEs has to access, all right. So what is it supporting enterprises, entrepreneurs without opportunities? Hence, SEDA will come with the support. Financiers should come with the support, and for entrepreneurs to access the opportunities. And what we're looking forward into is that we're going to have another Entrepreneurship Day, because this is global. It happens annually. All right. So in November, we want to tell the success out of what we have started with in the beginning of the year, now being March, and say in November, when we have another Entrepreneurship Day, what have we achieved so far? And everybody who has presented and everybody who has been to our stall must tell a success.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sharon, we've got a Ministry of Small Business that the President started and put into place. The question, though, are we doing enough in South Africa to assist young entrepreneurs and small business?
Okay. I can say there's successes and small pockets of achievements that we are reaching for the past 10 years that SEDA has been in existence. But I'm not going to say we are there yet. It's a journey. That's why part of the programs that we're having at SEDA, we call it a client's journey.
Yeah.
Because in business, you've got different phases. So with young people, we handhold them.
Yeah.
So that we take them through each and every phase so that they can be sustainable. So in a nutshell, I would say we're giving it our best, but it's not something that is cast in stone and that can be achieved overnight. It's a process, it's a journey that we're taking everybody on board that is willing to partner with us as we conquer this elephant called entrepreneurship and contribute positively in the economy.
And you eat an elephant one little bite at a time, don't you?
Yes, exactly.
Now Thabang, you guys have got the Ekurhuleni city as probably the first phase or an area from where the seed can grow. What are you guys hoping to achieve in the short, medium and long term?
In the short term, we would like to increase our footprint within the Ekurhuleni on our outreach programs. In a long term, we would like to see huge success stories from Ekurhuleni, all right, because Ekurhuleni is an industrial hub of the country. So with all the facilities and infrastructure that's within Ekurhuleni, it should be used to its full potential, of which we believe that is being usually underutilized, you know, with less involvement of young entrepreneurs, disabled and women entrepreneurs. So we would like to see that happening. of which we would like to come back some other time and tell the success story and not tell.
We will have you guys back any time, because we believe here that entrepreneurship is the key to success of our country. We need to get our young people to understand the concept and really to make it our own. I thank you both for joining us today. We are talking about entrepreneurship in general. This is Tabang Palami, who is the Ekurhuleni branch manager of SEDA, and then marketing specialist for Gauteng is Sharon Mohale. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's have a quick look at your tweets. What are we talking about at Twitter about at SABC Newsroom? Of course, Senyaka Kekana will be missed. Rest in peace, Senyaka, says Shorty. He was a character of note, very unique. I mean, the song, Fong Kong, speaks for itself. Volumes, thanks for the entertainment, says Shorty. Emmanuel Manwadu says, rest in peace to the legendary Senyaka. The musician comedian passed away yesterday after a week in a coma. Rest in peace, brother. Nikki Messiah says, it's really sad, but on the bright side, Senyaka will find Romeo and make him pay in full. Rest in peace, Senyaka. I hope Romeo has Senyaka's money with interest, says Tracy Pablo. Now, King Chacharach Agent says, rest in peace, Senyaka, talented artist of our time. I remember you for trend-setting, quite a music and acting. Song in my head, Romeo Wangolota. Chizampama was the other one. Finally, the highly anticipated Mr. Gay South Africa will take place this weekend at Empress Palace. Although this competition may seem like it's all about the glitz and glamour, there is much more to this event. Now, to tell us more about this, we are joined in studio today by Mr. Gay South Africa's Managing Director, Tinus van der Walt. Very good morning to you, Tinus. Thanks for joining us. Good morning, Evan. Now, Tinus, competition or pageant? You know, pageant is almost a swear word in the new world. Is that we glorify only beauty and not brains. Is that something you guys are battling with?
I have no idea how to spell pageant. What I do know is the Mr. Gay South Africa 2015 was launched in November. I've just recently acquired the business, so it's my first time around. So a very exciting journey as a first time. And the whole aim of it is to have a platform for gay South African men to be proud of. So even the word competition for me is not what I used. For me, it's creating a platform for 12 heroes. We've got 12 finalists from all over the country. And the whole year, 12 people will be groomed and into role models out there for the community.
The need to introduce Mr. Gay into this sort of almost beauty pageant kind of scene in the LGBT community. Is it important for this community to have this kind of platform? Do you feel that there's still stigmatization that goes on?
I think there's a fear of the unknown. So what I do plan to do is to make sure that everybody understands what the role models and heroes is. First, what I focus on is actually from the launch to get to 12 competitions, which was opened nationally, that enabled people for the first time to enter and actually made the 12 finalists from places like Springbok, Kimberley, Richards Bay. So it's phenomenal to see these guys, since they've been joining the competition, how they already expanded their experiences and how they've already grown in a question of a couple of weeks. So they've been spending a week together, and my main aim is to give 12 guys experience in all different aspects of life. We started off the week at Welgedag Game Reserve, just outside of Johannesburg, and just bonded about a fire. And the aim is to first pay my attention to 12 guys, to mold them into heroes, and then people's not even going to notice the beauty.
Let's quickly talk about gay identity in South Africa, where we are now. You just mentioned small towns like Springbok and the like. You know, even 10, 15 years ago, if you came out in a small town, that would be a massive, massive thing, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Not that I'm not going to remember that far ago. But, yeah, but now that you mention some of the experiences, because as a group we've also decided together what we want to focus on this year, and actually, like you mentioned, is the coming out process.
Yeah.
Because so many young people out there is really find it challenging, and it's really on the suicide side quite a bit of an issue. So what we're going to focus on is to create mediums for people to become more aware of the importance of coming out.
Yeah.
And if I can refer back to the Springbok guy, into his comment was when we first joined in Cape Town Gay Pride, he said he was going to be worried what the community going to think about him being one of the finalists.
Yeah.
And when he joined us on Monday, he's so overwhelmed by the response. He's already a hero in the town. And that's what we want to create.
Well, that's amazing. There's a place in the sun for everyone at the end of the day, Tinus.
Especially in this side of Africa.
Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, this weekend, Mr. Gay South Africa takes place at Empress Palace. Tinus van der Walt is the managing director of the competition. Let's not call it a pageant. Pageant is not a good word anymore. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Just a quick cricket update there. I can see India have just started batting. They are 4 without loss. Rohit Sharma just put Mitchell Starc through the covers there for a first boundary. This after a catch was turned down. 4 for no loss, chasing 329. It's going to be an exciting morning's cricket there at the Sydney Cricket Ground. That's where we leave it today. I can't give you the whole newsroom spiel, but we're playing out today, well, a tribute to the legend, Senyaka Kekana.